Perfect. You good?
Okay, awesome. I can drive it, and maybe you tell me what exactly you're interested. By the way, you ask questions, and we can make it work.
Yep, that's perfect.
Does it sound fine?
Yeah. And yeah, we can just start with tabs, and there's a few like really simple ones in there. Tabs, I don't know if tabs is unique because today it has both the stories file and the examples. And so I'm not sure if that's kind of a unique situation, but
I think most of them have the stories and examples. I think the idea is to migrate all of them to stories and have no examples, and or drop some examples if they do not make sense. We'll start, and then we'll see by the way what we can do.
okay. If it helps, we can always switch to like an example like popover or something that has that as far as I could tell doesn't have stories, but it does have several. It has like 3 examples, so that could be if you'd prefer, we can actually just do something like that, and that way we don't have to worry about the confusion of like existing examples and existing stories.
It's I'm not sure we'll do it. We can do them all through this session because I don't think we will have enough time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you wanted to just do popover, like just 1 or 2 of them, like that would be.
Let's see what the popover has. This is the popover. This is the source. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I think popover won't be interesting because it doesn't have enough customization properties.
Okay.
I'll show you. For example, I recently migrated date range picker, and so date range picker has a lot of properties that could be customized, and we can make them control so that user can set, I don't know, for instance, same day selection, and the date picker will allow the same day selection, or if you set it false, it won't allow the same day selection as you see here. So the popover doesn't have many customization properties. It wouldn't be interesting as an example, I think. Let's try doing the tabs. Okay. Okay, so I'll have here's the GitLab UI project. Yesterday I checked the tabs quickly.
Okay.
Because it's status. Okay, so I have a clean branch here, and I'll start the local storybook, and we'll see how it will change. While it's building, I think we have to open some of the migration steps. Let me find. Don't remember the epic exactly, but
I can link it to you if you want. Here.
Maybe you can share if you want to. Or I'll find it.
Yeah, I started in the chat here. So.
Okay. Where is it? Where is it?
In the Zoom chat. Sorry.
Zoom chat, and I cannot see it now. I don't know where it is.
I can send it to you in Slack too.
Maybe send it in Slack.
There you go.
Yeah, great. So Paul here described the steps on how to migrate the stories, and what we usually do, we follow these steps and then customize some of the things. So we are trying to migrate the tabs to a new component story format, and yeah, it has a couple of examples. Here is the documentation. After the migration, I think the documentation stays pretty much the same. The difference is that we just get the component here, we get the controls where we can control the behavior of the component, and this the bottom part just it just goes away, I think, but not sure. Let's see. So here we have the top stories, and so it has the example of how the previous story format is converted to the current story format, and we'll try to do this. We won't remove the this part, just we'll comment it, and we'll so that we can reference some of the solutions why we call. So what I usually do, I just copy this part, certainly without the comments, and yeah, and
so quick question for you.
Go on. Yeah.
As it is in that tab stories JS file that you have open, that's not the CSF format, is that correct?
No, it's not. I think it's the that's well, that's the older format that that existed previously, and here here it's described why exactly we are doing this migration, and I think the main reason is that the CSF gives us some out of the box features that we currently implement ourselves.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a function. Okay, that would be difficult. We have function. First of all, we have to define the basic tabs.
The template.
Okay. Yeah, basic tabs template. So here, like as we see, for instance, in the I opened badge stories just so that we can reference quickly. Yeah. So the basic tabs template would look something like, I don't know, the jail tabs and a couple of, I don't know, a couple of child tabs, right? So we added here. Okay, here we have the basic tabs template, and okay, it imported for, we have already the components imported, jail tabs and jail tab. But here, as we are creating the new component, we have to register those, we have to register those components here in this components object, jail tabs, and it's the basic case. We'll come to the more difficult cases later. So we registered the tabs, and we have a basic template, and remove this. We don't need this for now. And then what do we do? Then we have function generate props, but okay, we'll have some generate props, but it will make it empty for now, and then I'll explain why we actually need it. Okay. Is something wrong? I don't see what's wrong. Maybe it's okay. So far we have the default like basic story that we do not allow user to customize yet, but the storybook most likely will pick up automatically, will create some controls for it. So let me just comment all the rest and see what we have. I'm not sure it's helpful or not, but maybe you can ask questions by the way, and we'll see. Do we have the tabs? Okay, we don't have tabs now. Yeah, we have the tab, but we don't have tabs. Okay. Okay, I think we need one more step. So we exported this base story. Oh no. Not sure we need this at this point. Okay, we need to. I'm not sure whether this is the reason why it's not showing up, or there is some other thing. Oops. Okay, we don't have the tops component yet. No, it's only top. Okay, something is wrong, but I don't know yet what is wrong. Template. Are there any errors? No errors in the console. And maybe we also need this this default customization of all the stories, but I'm not sure. Let's check. And base. I don't know what's tops. Yeah, tops. This will come back to it later. And there is no readme, but there is docs and archetypes. And we'll come back to the archetypes later. Oh, here we go. Yes, that's very good. It's good that we figured that out, that it showed up, because it might like sometimes there are issues that like not very easy to
right
to catch. So as it says, where is this? There was a very good explanation. Okay, so what we were missing, we needed to have this default exports that contains the information about all the story settings. And so this part we described our first story, but this is related to all the stories. This configuration will be related to all the stories. So we needed this, even though we have only one one story so far. Okay. Because here we have some errors, but we'll come back. We're coming to it.
Yeah, and that's just because you commented out those sections, right? You don't have those arguments in place, and
yes, not yet, but we'll have them. And yeah, we still have some examples. Okay, never mind. We have the tabs, and as you can see, like previously, we can open the, here's the GitLab UI, the production example. You see, it doesn't have any controls.
Yeah.
And here we already have some of the. Here we already have some of the controls that will allow us the user to control the behavior of these tabs. So for instance, for the theme, not for the theme, let's try justified. Okay, you'll see it here. We have the justified tabs. So justified tabs are those that stretch across the whole screen. And here we could control the tabs with this justified property, but as you can see here, it doesn't actually work. So the storybook picked this property from the component implementation, from the component description that is like here. So here's the implementation of the tabs view, and here is the justified property, and it knows that it is Boolean. So that is why it makes it like nice toggle. So we had nothing to do like to make it available. It just made it for us. But here we have our stories, and here we have the template, and so that our component knows about this justified property. We need to provide it for it. So we just say justified, and we say that it will have the value. Okay, I'll copy so that not to mistype. The value of justified, and where this value is coming from. Here is the function generate props, which we will use to provide different sets of the properties to each story.
Okay.
But we also have the what was the justified. Okay, I'll copy it. I'll just mistype if I do it quickly. Justified, and I don't know, we make it default value, for instance, true, and we return it here. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the JavaScript, but that's just like function in a JavaScript that accepts the object, and it's the structuring and returns later whatever it wants to. It may look like tricky, but it is not actually. So here we say that here when generate properties will be called, it will have the justified set as true, and we can check it whether the default behavior is true or not. Where is it justified?
I saw that, yeah, and I could see in the actual rendering that it is.
Yes, and as you see here, there is also this URL parameters that is updated. Okay, let's try switching it. Also, see, the tabs are changing, so it's true, false, true, and false. And well, that's great, and actually also great that you could share the, I don't know, you could share with someone the state of the component. So for example, if you want to share the example of the tabs that are justified, you just share the, or not justified, you just share the link, and whoever you are sharing it with gets the component in the state you want it to share. That's because the state is preserved via the URL query parameters. Yeah, but for instance, if we, for the theme parameter, right, we can make like it's the same. Allow user to provide theme and return it here. And what are our themes? I remember we had somewhere tabs, and tabs has the validator for the values we could provide for the theme property. So our themes could be indigo, blue, green, red. Okay, let's make the default theme as in, I don't know. Okay, let's make it blue so it's visible because it is, I'm not sure. No, it's not already indigo, it's something different. Oh no, it is indigo, I think. So let's make it blue so that it is. We'll make it right then, but just for the sake of the example, we want to make it.
It's changed.
Yeah, and we will make it blue, and we return it here. And let's clear all these arguments so that to make sure that the component. Is it blue? It is blue.
Yep.
And we can also, like, the user could change it probably to green.
Yeah.
See, but in fact, that's not very convenient because user doesn't know
all the options, right?
All the options. So probably that's where we are coming to customizing these controls. And I think this is a very good example for the customization.
Okay. Yeah, to turn that into like a select, right?
Yeah, so that it can turn out as a select. So here you see we have this archetypes object inside this default export. So this is how we describe each control.
Okay. Okay.
So we say here is archetypes, and our archetype is theme. It's the name of the property actually. So we say it's theme and say that customize its control, and we say that it has the type select. Like so far for me, it was it can be also a color picker, I think, date picker, or some those type of controls. For instance, if I remember correctly, okay, to move, I want to move this. Let's check the So here you see for the date range picker, we have this nice, calendar, so that user can set the default min date and max date, because it would be pretty difficult to write the date each time. So thus we say that the default min date has type of control, which is date time, and the storybook renders the date picker for us. It has also toggles, strings, and I think some objects and other things, but we want select now, and here we say type select, and we need to provide the options for it, and our options are
is that in the constants?
Yeah, it is in the constants, and it is here you see it is validating that our value has to be one of the keys in the color themes object. So we need to pretty one of the keys or gel dark. So we'll set those values. So it should be color themes options, and it is an array. One of the color themes and gel dark. Do you remember? Dark and still. Yes. Okay, so it's a live version. I don't know what this is. Let's check whether it works. Here you see our control transformed into the select, and now user can pick different themes.
Okay.
And so this is actually nice to do, because then they have all control and don't have to get all the values, and I think it must be done. And here is the justified, and so that's.
So how do you set a default on that theme?
I'm sorry.
How would you set a default?
We provided here the.
Okay.
Okay, so here is our default example, right? And we said okay, that's okay, that's about the JavaScript. So here you see it gets the arguments and sets all the props on the component to the object keys of those arguments. And here we say that we assign to the args whatever this generate props return, and this generate props returns this object, and it destructures it here, and here is the default value. So theme default is blue. If we change it to indigo, we make it did we change it to indigo? Okay, so here I think we have this parameter selected. Let's oh, where is it? Yeah, lost it. Tabs. Okay. You see here it has this URL parameters, and it sets the state already. So now the default should be indigo. Yeah, it is indigo.
Okay.
But that's the default value. Actually, if you wanted a story with the which has, for instance, I don't know, red color by default, you would create another story. So what you do, those would be another story. Also do the export, change the name, I don't know, red justified tabs, you name it. And then to generate props, you provide the object will be destructured here. So no, justified, you say true. And here we may, what is it, theme? I don't know, thread. Yeah, because we named it red. So yeah, and now I think we should have another story.
Yep, I see that. I think that was refreshing on its own too.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, I saw it on the left.
Yeah, it should be. So here you see we have the default story, and we have red justified tabs, and they are like red, and with those generate props, you can generate like different combinations of stories if you want to make a separate story of it, but they usually don't make them like separate stories, because actually red justified tabs can be covered by the default story, just changing the values in the controls. So that is what kind of powerful, I would think, in this new story format, because maybe tabs is not sure the tabs is a good example here, but for instance, yeah, here see we have justify tabs, and we for sure can remove this example because we can have this behavior in the default one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think here we won't like re-implement it for other properties, because it works pretty much the same for all the rest. Or if you want to, we can create one more example.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you really quick. I know that there was it looked like a console error on the red example. I was just.
Yeah, sure. Let's check. There can for sure be an error. Let's
Like
see
if you
what's
could
error.
view the red tabs on the left there, the red justified tabs. There.
Okay. Invalid probe type check field for probe justified expected boolean got string with value true. And why is that? Yeah, I just made a mistake. You see, it is a string, but it needs to be a boolean. It's JavaScript error.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, we'll refresh it. So just to make sure that. Did it refresh? Yeah, see, there is no errors.
Nice. Okay.
A mistake on my side.
So I would like to know, so there's the text there, tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab panel. Where are you changing like the source for that? So if I wanted to do an example now that had like the tabs with the badge in it, like how would you construct that?
Yeah, let's see. Do we have the example with the tabs?
Yeah, with the badges. Yeah.
Yeah, for example. Let's see how we can do it. I'll take a quick badges. Probably we just give me a second. I can.
Sure. Is this something you'd update the base template for? And then, so that's where the markup was coming from, right? With that default template that you had set initially.
Yeah, like we certainly can create like a separate template for it, right?
Okay.
But we also could just let me think how we can do it. Okay, let's try. Where is it added? Okay, so if we add the okay, it won't be formatted because it's a string. Okay, so we use the gel badge in the default template, so we certainly need to register it in the component definition because it will be used in the template.
Okay.
And we get it. I'm just want to check that we get this.
Oh, so that's in the content, but not in the tab.
It's not there. Sorry. How do we set the badge in the? You probably have to provide it here as a slot. Oh yeah. So you'll have to say the template title. Okay, so batch is provided via the slot. So we set it. I'm copying from the old examples, and that's actually good. I'm not sure if this is probably needed for the screen reader. I'll drop it for now, so it doesn't. There is not too much markup, but
Okay.
in practice you want to have it. And yes, and I'm sorry. No, it's correct. Okay, let's check that we actually have this batch with the Okay, yeah, we have to remove this batch here. We have it in the but that's now it renders like for all the stories that would use this template. So we want to ideally, not ideally, but we should make it render conditionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to make it render conditionally. And here, okay, let's modify, for instance, red justified tabs. We'll have another story, right? We'll make it, I don't know, with badges. We don't care about this. I mean, we could provide, but we don't need to. And it uses the same template. Okay, let me think. Parameters, and I'll check with the range picker. I remember I was doing it, but so we have the props here. So here actually we're defining the we are defining a component data. Okay, let me try something and I'll explain later if that works. So my idea is we could make it render conditionally. So we would write something like the if and I don't know, has a badge, for example.
Okay.
And so we'll render a badge only if the has a badge property on the component instance is true. Here we'll have the I don't know data, and this is like view component definition that is like has this data, and data returns some object, and here, well, how we named it, has a badge, and now has badge can so here we provide some arguments which become properties, but we could also provide to the template one more parameter. For instance, I don't know, we'll call it render badge, for instance, and we'll set it on the component instance, and then the value of this provider parameter will be set on the has badge and will reflect on the whether gel badge is rendered or not. But I will have to validate whether it works or not. That's and we make the default value for it false, so the badge is not rendered. And let's check it. It is rendered in why is that?
With badges there.
Excuse me.
Oh, I saw the story for it show up on the left and then nav for it.
Oh, it's not.
So by
No, no.
I understand. Yeah, it's still showing up, right? But I did see your extra.
Render batch is false. Data, and we'll provide it to. Okay, let's see. Maybe it has some errors. No, doesn't. Okay, so batch is rendered. Something is wrong.
What is oh yeah, okay. I was just wondering if that showed up under the controls, but
I'm sorry.
oh, I was wondering if it showed up under the controls, like the badge toggle.
No, not really. This is some artificial variable we create
just for the sake of the example for the story, but not as like a control.
Yeah, it's not the control. Controls only can be defined for the properties that are described in the actual component.
Would you consider adding a badge as a property, or is that something that you wouldn't necessarily?
I mean, it could be a property, but then, for instance, you could provide property here that has badge, but then what kind of badge it has, right? So if you provide it via the slot, so user has the control what kind of badge he wants to render. Like small badge, what's the class to add to the badge, what's the content. If we wanted only one type of badge, then we could definitely customize it via the property. But then we let me figure out this example, because okay, here's badge. Excuse me. Badge. And here's the template. And okay, everyone has to generate props. And render badge is false here. It should not render. Okay, let me. Let's see. Did I change something? I didn't change anything.
Yeah.
This badge here. Okay, I guess I will have to figure out it on my own, because it might take some time. I can't like think quickly how to do it, and maybe we'll have 10 more minutes. I'll describe how we do it.
Right.
Okay, you could set them like create a different story with a different template, but I wanted to make it kind of cool so that the user provides the parameter via the properties, but didn't work yet, but it will.
I know that there is a button example that has a badge, but I guess those show up.
Maybe we can check the button. Maybe it'll give me some idea. Button. Is it already migrated?
I'm not sure. There's default, but I still see it doesn't look
So
like it. Yeah.
here actually, we can certainly do it. Maybe yeah, I see how it's doing it. It redefines the template, so we're not using this like default template. We're using a different template.
And I got buttons are different because the badge does change color based on the button. So that makes sense, I guess. But so it's a little different.
We can do quickly like a button-like example, and then I will like do a more sophisticated way if you want to. So we'll have the, I don't know what would be a good way to do it. Let's
Yeah, whatever works too with your time. So
yeah, we can do this last one, and where is the, so okay, with where badges, and here we have all the, okay, we'll remove it for now so it doesn't confuse anyone. So the default example is without render badge. Here is a component definition. So we have components, and here instead of using the default template, we use our custom template, and our custom template will have badge. It won't be like, we won't add this where if this conditional rendering, we just make it always there. And no where if, because it doesn't know anything about it. So it will have badge, and this one, where is it? And this one won't have a badge. And I guess these badges, and I guess this is it. So some extra tick. Yes. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's check this badges example. Yeah, so the default example doesn't have badges, and this badges has like does have the badge. And on the second thought, maybe it's even better to redefine the template completely, because I think in the examples user can copy the code. Okay, it's not those examples, where is those other examples? It's still the old examples. No, we'll have to delete these old examples from the, we'll have to delete this file, this documentation, and to remove old examples so that new example is displayed there. But the idea is that if we write some fancy code, which I tried to do with where if has badged with some custom logic, it won't help the user, because most likely if the user wants the the template with the badge, he doesn't want to have any conditions, right? He just wanted to copy it and make it very straightforward. So that is why it's good to have a separate example, separate template, which is very linear and straightforward without any like extra conditions.
Okay.
That's
And then
great that you.
well, and when you redefine that template, I noticed that like the justified parameter, the control wasn't a toggle anymore. Do you have to redefine all the arguments then?
You will have to do what we've done here. We need to provide the properties, we generate properties to our story. So what we do, we do these badges, arcs, and we can call generate props. Yeah, I think this is it. And it's so it has you also like you redefine the template, but you can also provide the properties like we did before and make, I don't see which one we didn't use yet. Green, or did we use green?
Missing an E on theme there, but
yes, right. It won't work if
there, yep.
Yeah, so the thing is the same way you provide the value for the properties.
Okay.
So kind of that, and those are the simple steps. I think the rest is described in the epic, and you just do it like just following the steps. No creative work. And main takeaways are that Storybook does a lot by default, that you redefine controls to make it more convenient for the user, and move to the examples. Whatever cannot be defined here, whatever behavior cannot be implemented with the controls. So.
Okay. No, that's really helpful. This is awesome. So.
Yeah, sorry, I did I had to figure out some stuff by the way, so it might be not that smooth, but if it gives like a little some understanding, that's great. If not, do ask me and we can like try to do something else.
No, that's all part of the learning process, right? So I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I guess this is it, because we are running out of time. Thank you for organizing it, and do not hesitate to ask any questions.